I mean, this is an area, even though it's siding here, I still like to use uplights and accent lights, because if you can see here, along this side of the house, there's not much. It's just siding, very similar to what you have, but they still use some uplights to, gently highlight the side of the house. What it does, it creates kind of like a visual pathway around that house as well, around the house as well. And again, you get that light up top, and you kind of get that nice glow. So, hey guys, it's Cal from the Lighting Doctor here. I hope you guys enjoy this video with some more great landscape lighting tips. To learn more about landscape lighting, go and check out our website at lightingdoctor.ca. Or if you want to see what a real quality landscape light should look like, go and check out our Try It Before You Buy It offer, where you can get a premium quality fixture at a discounted rate with your very own battery pack, so you can go and test out how that light's going to look and feel what a real premium quality light should look like. So go and check us out at lightingdoctor.ca, or go watch more videos on YouTube just by searching for the Lighting Doctor. Hey, Brian, thank you for your email and your pictures here. You got a beautiful home for landscape lighting. So yeah, happy to give you some ideas, and I'll just kind of show you an image of what I think, you could potentially do with highlighting some of the nice stonework you have, as well as I'm going to talk a little bit about lighting some of the second story peaks and the side of the house a little bit, but just to kind of give you a visual of kind of what I have in mind here. But how you would go accomplish that and achieve that, and it just might depend how much room. Hopefully you can either trim these back a little bit, or you might just have to work around them. But the idea would be to try and have like three, primarily I'm going to talk about uplights. There might be some wash lights and maybe a couple path and garden lights, but when I talk about an uplight, I'm talking about something like this, where I would try and have those. You don't want them too far back from the house, and you don't want them back here either, because you're going to have these shadows from the plants. So you may have to trim these back a little bit, or hopefully there's room in between them that you can kind of get those lights maybe about 12 inches back and have those uplights almost shining straight up, so that they're really just grazing the brickwork, and you can see how, or the stonework, and you can see how that kind of brings out the subtleties in the stone. So that's why you want to get it fairly close. You don't want it too close that it's going to create a big hot spot, but if you get it around that 8 inches to 12 inches back and have it shining pretty upright, you're going to get that effect by just having like 3 of those right here. And then I would do the same thing on this side. I would probably do the same thing. I would probably have 3 across the front. I would have 2 along these columns, and then I would have 1 underneath here as well. It's not going to shine in the window, but I want to make sure I get light up and graze this top stone area as well. So kind of 3 and 3 across there. Over along this side, I still want to accent this. I probably wouldn't use the uplights there, because these ones, I think you are going to bring them a little bit further back. So what I would probably use there is some wash lights. They're just a little bit softer, a little bit wider angle lens, but if you kind of had one in here and kind of over here, that just shine through these a little bit, it'll create some nice shadows of the plants in front of them, as well as it'll do a nice job of just kind of gently lighting the stone that you have on this side. The other thing that would be nice is if you had an uplight right here. So the same one you would use over here, you kind of had one in here that's shining up so that it's getting this stone, it's getting these pillars here, and I'm not sure if this shows a good example of it. Yeah, it kind of does. See how the light hits here and it kind of spreads like that? Well, you kind of get the same idea with yours, where it would hit here and it would just kind of help light this porch area. The only thing I would say about that one is there you want to add something called a hex baffle. So what a hex baffle is just this little glare shield that goes right over the top of the bulb. It's a little honeycomb shaped filter. I don't have one, but you can just add those, and what it does is it just deflects any side glare. So anytime you have a light that's very close to a walking area like this, and you don't want it to be shining in your eyes over here, you put a hex baffle, and it just helps keep that light more concentrated, so that you're not you don't come down the steps and have that light kind of shining in your eyes. So that's what I would do for that section. And then over here, I would probably have one of those same uplights that's just kind of highlighting this tree, and it'd be a nice balance, especially when you're looking from this angle, because you got the wall washed on both sides over here, and then you have an uplight, again, fairly close, shining more upright, that you're really getting this area. Now, what some people will do in an area like this, though, is they will throw some path and garden lights, and it depends how much you want to put into it and how important that is, because I think the house is really going to be the star of the show. But if you do want to put some path and garden lights to help light this area, what I usually recommend is spreading it out in between where I have my uplights. So for example, I might have one kind of on the corner over there. I might have one somewhere in here right in front of this window. Same thing, kind of right in here in front of this window. Maybe one over on this corner, and then I've got maybe one here and one here, and then everything else should be lit up quite nicely. I don't know if you necessarily want to put one here. If you wanted to highlight a couple of these shrubs a little bit more in the front, this is where, rather than a path and garden light, I would probably use one of those wash lights again. Again, really good for low line, wider plants. So if you wanted to, you could probably highlight one or two of these in front because you have this backlit, but you might want to light these in front. Or the other thing you could do too is sometimes if you put it kind of in between these shrubs here, it's a nice contrast because you have the higher light kind of on the sides, and then you would kind of gently light up these front shrubs with those wash lights. And if you can get them out a little bit further, it would do an even nicer job of that. So that's what I would do there. And then along the side, I mean, this is an area, even though it's siding here, I still like to use uplights and accent lights, because if you can see here, along this side of the house, there's not much. It's just siding, very similar to what you have, but they still use some uplights to, gently highlight the side of the house. What it does, it creates kind of like a visual pathway around that house as well, around the house as well. And again, you get that light up top, and you kind of get that nice glow. So, I mean, what I would love to see is if you kind of had just one of the standard uplights here. You maybe had another one back here, and it's not that you're trying to highlight these areas where the air conditioner and stuff is. It's more that you're just kind of highlighting the visual from above, so that as you're looking from the side of the property, you're seeing that lit up. And then I would probably put one of those uplights here. The only difference is I would just upgrade the intensity. So all those uplights that I talked about so far are just standard 4-watt LED lamp, 20-watt halogen equivalent one. But for those taller areas, you would want to upgrade that to a 35-watt equivalent. So it's a 5-watt LED, and it just helps push that light up a little bit higher. So that's probably what I would do there. And then the last couple things I would do is using a gutter mount to try and highlight some of the second story peaks like I talked about and showed in that first picture. Now they did it a little bit differently here, but it kind of gives you an idea of how that can really make it stand out. But what I would do is I would actually just run wire up either behind or right inside the downspout, and you come across the gutter, and with these gutter mounts that fit right inside the gutter, they just screw into the edge. You screw your light into there. All the connections are waterproof, so you can just leave them right in the gutter. And then I would mount one of those uplights here and have that shining, again, fairly upright to this top peak. A lot of people are concerned that it's too much light. It'll produce too much light in the window, and it's really not, because you're not trying to shine it at it. You're trying to shine it more upright so that you're just getting this peak. I would do the same thing over here. You could just keep that wire going over here or run it up again. Mount one of those right here that again is shining up and getting this peak. And then I would probably try and just depend, even if you had to just run it in the wire in the corner here, but I would probably try and look at getting another one of those in here and have it shining up on that. And I think if you did that, that would just really make the front of the house stand out. And that is something that 90% of landscape lighting installers won't do, because it's a little bit more work. But if you can do it, it will really magnify the effects and make the house stand out. So hopefully that gives you some pretty good ideas. You could easily fit all those lights on one transformer. I'm assuming there's probably a power outlet or something somewhere over here, which would be the perfect ideal location to mount your transformer, just on a nice 4x4 cedar post or something, and run all your wire. If you need to get under, you can, if you search YouTube, Lighting Doctor, tunnel under a sidewalk, there's like a bulb planter drill that we use. Because it's newer property, who knows, they may have put sleeves underneath. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But the other nice thing too is by having the transformer here, it would give you easy access to just run another line from it to whatever you guys want to do in the back later. So thanks again, Brian. If you have any other questions, let me know. If you want some help kind of customizing a kit based on those suggestions, just let me know what you like, what you don't like, and then we can go from there. So I'll just share with you guys one little trick, something called a hex baffle. Where we use these is just to deflect the glare off the uplight. So sometimes if you have an uplight like this that's close to an area where people are going to be walking, it's not necessarily going to be pointing in their face or in their eyes or anything, but just to help keep that light a little bit more concentrated when they're looking at it from an angle. We're going to use something called a hex baffle that basically just slides underneath the cap of your light. It goes over the lens, or sorry, over the light and under the lens and snaps back on. And then all that's going to do is just deflect the light that's being maybe portrayed that way. So that somebody looking down, they're not going to see a light shining right up in your eyes. So this is a great little tip to use anytime you have a high traffic area where people might be walking by the light, so they're not shining directly into their eyes. 90% of the time, most of your landscape lighting plans, you're going to use really one of two lights, and there's a couple other ones that you'll integrate from time to time, but 90% it's either going to be some kind of an uplight like this or a path and garden light, which I will talk about. Now there's literally hundreds and hundreds of different kind of uplights out there. So how did we go and settle with this light as our primary light? It's not the only one we use, but this is the RS uplighting fixture from FX Luminaire. FX Luminaire is it's one of the leading brands in landscape lighting. They're owned by Hunter Industries, which is probably one of the largest, if not the largest, residential irrigation manufacturer in the world. And they bought FX Luminaire. It's been over 10 years ago now, and what they've really done is they've brought their customer service, their quality, and all that into their fixtures. Now, one of the things that I will say about this fixture is it comes with a 5-year warranty, but the thing that I know from installing landscape lights over the years is I don't even really worry too much about warranty. One of the reasons I like Hunter and I like FX Luminaire is I know if I have an issue with this, even if it's 10 years down the road, usually they don't ask any questions, but it's so rare that I have to. So when they say they give you a 5-year warranty, it's an actual warranty. It's not some BS lifetime warranty like you see all these cheap brands will give you. And I know they're BS because I know where they come from. Well, I've got crates sitting right behind this camera here of different samples from all kinds of different manufacturers overseas, in the US, in Canada, and it's all the same fixture. And some give lifetime warranties, some give 7-year warranties, and I know that a lot of that is just BS, because a lifetime warranty nowadays, if you don't agree with me, doesn't even make sense, because what are the chances that that same company is still going to be operating even 10 years down the road? So to give any kind of lifetime warranty, I don't know, in my opinion, it's just a bunch of BS, unless it's one of those brands and those companies that you just know is going to build something. They've been around for a long time. They ain't going anywhere. But I'll tell you, the lights that you're going to find on Amazon and online that offer you a lifetime warranty, it's a bunch of BS. I've seen it. I replace them all the time. Good luck trying to get it. And even if you do, it doesn't matter. If you keep replacing crap with crap, what's your time worth to have to keep replacing that stuff? So that's why we've gone out. We've sourced out the RS uplight, and I'll show you a couple features why we like this light. One is super heavy duty. I've got another uplight here that we use that, again, we've sorted through a whole bunch of different ones. This is what I'll call a economy brand, very similar to a lot of the stuff you'll find on Amazon and that kind of stuff. But the difference, we went with this one, and why we still use this in some operations, somebody's maybe a little more budget conscious, maybe they're looking to move in a couple years, so they don't want to spend too much money. But I like this fixture as opposed to a lot of them because of some features that I will get into, but it's still not going to be the same as a light like this. This one easily weighs twice what that one weighs, just because there's more material. It's an aluminum zinc combo, which is super durable. So whenever I get those emails from people in Florida or on the coast or anything that are worried about, is this light going to stand up? I know that this one will stand up better than most other lights out there. And there's really lights on the market, especially down in Florida and stuff that they sell. But I also know that you guys don't want to pay $500 for a fixture, and that's how we came up with this one, is for the $89, $99 that you're going to pay for this US, there is not a better value fixture out there. And you just have to feel it and you'll know. That's why we offer our try before you buy lights. You can actually buy this as a trial light where you get it. It comes with a battery pack. You can just plug in, go test it out. But it gives you a chance to really feel and see what it's like. So That's one of the things, is just weight and durability is really good. I like these ones as opposed to a lot of the integrated fixtures that are on there. So an integrated fixture, all that is the difference is you're gonna find two kinds of lights. You're gonna find some that have like a drop-in bulb like this, or that have a built-in LED board. Especially if you're buying a cheaper fixture, you wanna stay away from the LED boards because most of those are crap. And you can't just replace the bulb, you have to replace the whole fixture, which is a pain in the butt. There's some really good integrated fixtures on the market, just the price point goes up a lot. Those ones will last you a long time, but it just depends what you want to pay for what you're going to get extra. The reason that I like this one, especially for most of your do-it-yourselfers, irrigation contractors, landscapers who are just getting started out, the reason I like this one is because if you haven't done a lot of lights, sometimes you don't know how bright of a light should I use on a certain feature. Well, if you buy an integrated fixture, you can't change that. You pretty much have to know ahead of time how bright you need that light, or you're gonna have to go rewire another light in to replace it. These ones, the reason I like it is because if I need a brighter light, I can just go and swap it out. The other thing I like about this too is as your landscape grows, say you start with a tree. We have a couple in our yard that we just planted a few years ago. They're maybe 8 feet tall, that we had some of these standard 4-watt lamps in. It was a little too bright, so all we did, because you can get standard filters that will fit most of these, we covered it up with a frosted lens, made it a little bit softer. As that tree grew, we needed it to be a little bit brighter. We took off the frosted filter, and now as that tree goes to be 20 feet, 25 feet taller, what we can do is we can just go swap out the bulb for something brighter. So I love that as an option, especially for all the do-it-yourselfers. And again, if you're buying any kind of fixture that's a little bit less money, you want to have that option so that you don't have to go rewire those lights, because if you're anything like me, it's not fun having to go dig up lights in your own property and have to replace those when you could very easily just go and replace it with another lamp. So that's one of the reasons I like this one. You'll see this orange ring here. This is a rubber seal that really helps keep the water and the moisture out. This is also this glass and the lens in here is all silicone, so again makes it super watertight, but easy enough if you need to go and adjust that bulb or anything like that. So I like that about it. Super easy to adjust. The other thing I like is there's no tiny little, even on this one, yes, this is a good fixture, but it's still got this little Allen key piece here that to secure the top of the fixture on. You got to mess around with that. It's a pain in the butt when it's been there for a while and it gets covered in dirt and all that kind of stuff. This one, you basically just kind of twist it off, but you'll see again, if you get the trial light, how well that actually sits on there, and it's super easy and super watertight. Because of that water seal, I know I get heck for this all the time, but a lot of times we actually use these in downlighting applications because I know how good that seal is, and it's so rare that we have issues with that. So another reason. Super easy, adjustable set screw, just a regular Phillips screwdriver, and you can loosen that off and you can adjust this however you need to be. I like that. The other thing I like on these ones, which you will not get on the cheaper fixtures, is there's a 10-foot lead wire on it. And why that's a big deal, again, for the do-it-yourselfers, if you don't know exactly where that light is going to fit, by having a longer lead wire, now you can wire that in, and it gives you tons of room to be able to move that light without having to go and rewire or mess with anything. Same thing as your landscape grows, maybe you need to move that light back further. Well, now you don't have this short little 3-foot lead wire where you can only move it back a little bit. You can go and move that light for years and years and years. So that's actually a really big deal, having that 10-foot lead wire on it as well. The other thing I like about it is FX Luminaire probably makes some of the most durable ground stakes that we've used. A lot of the cheap ones, especially at like Home Depot and Lowe's and all those places, are very cheap and they break all the time. You'd be amazed how many requests we get for people who just need to replace a stake, or I have to go out and repair, and all it is the stake just broke because they're cheap pieces of garbage. The other reason I like this one is because it's got this slot here, which is nice because now you can actually go pound this in the ground, and then you can just slide your light in and out of there without having to feed it through the hole. Some of the other ground stakes don't have that, and you have to feed the wire in first. And why that's tough is because now when you got to go pound that into the ground,
Well, it's tough to do when you got a wire sticking out, because now if you hit it too hard, you're going to break that wire, and then basically your fixture is screwed. So that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it actually is. And it's a nice big 8-inch ground stake, so it's nice and deep. It'll hold that light nice and secure. So again, it's all these little things that make a difference with this light. The other thing too, and a question I get asked all the time, is about mounting it. If you want to mount it to a house, a barbecue area, anything like that. You'll notice on the threads here, this is pretty much a standard 1/2-inch thread. So if you go to the electrical aisle at almost any home improvement store, you'll find all kinds of different mounting brackets like this. There's smaller ones. There's some that are like this that have like 2 holes, so if you wanted to mount 2 of them. But that basically just screws right into there. And I would do it here, but I got to feed the wire through, which is not a big deal. But again, that's why I like these ground stakes, because if you don't have that little slot there, well, then you got to do this, and you got to feed this whole wire through the whole 10 feet, and then you got to screw that fixture in. But the point is, it's a 1/2-inch thread, so you can literally go and buy any kind of mounting bracket, any kind of riser if you need to rise it up that has a 1/2-inch female thread to screw that into, and you're good to go. Sometimes when we need to put those on a riser and need them a little higher, that's what we'll do. We'll go get a 1/2-inch female thread, screw it onto here, 1/2-inch riser, and then we just screw it into the ground stake, and boom, we can get that above our plants. So many good things that you can do with this. The other thing about this light is FX Luminaire also makes some of the most efficient landscape lighting lamps that are out there. And why I can actually say that, as opposed to just feeding you guys a bunch of BS, is if you get some of their fixtures, and you can look at any ones, the cheaper ones, you usually won't find this, but there's something usually on the box. There's their wattage, and then there's something called their VA. So you'll notice that it might be a 4-watt lamp, but the cheaper the light is, the less efficient it is. And their VA, in a lot of cases, could be like 7.4, which means that it's actually using 7.4 watts as opposed to the 4 watts that it says. Whereas a lamp like this is a 4-watt lamp, and the VA on it is 4.2. So it's extremely efficient. And why that's important too is when you're sizing your transformer, because if you have 10 lights that are 4 watts each, well, that's 40 watts. In this case, it's only 42 watts. But if you're using a cheaper one, that's at 7.4, well, you're at 74, 75 watts, which if you only bought like a 60-watt transformer, well, now you're hooped, because those lights aren't going to work. And I get that call all the time when people can't get their lights to work, is because they've gone and they've bought a inferior product, and it's not as efficient. So FX definitely has some of the most efficient lamps on the market by far that can easily go in and out. You can get these in different brightnesses. You can get them in different beam spreads, angles, different things like that. You can even get different colors. You can get which are warm white, 2700 Kelvin, which is kind of the standard, but you can get them a little bit whiter than that as well. So, but the nice thing, if you don't like the way it looks, you can just go get a different lamp and you can pop it in here. And it'll still work with most other brands of lamps, but for what you get, you're not going to find anything better than this. And trust me, we've looked for years. So that is our staple light. And the other thing that I do like about it that's coming, I always get asked in the holidays, can I change the lights, colors and stuff? And yes, there's some systems out there that you can do that, but they're very expensive. What's going to be really cool is with this one, we've been testing for years, but a lot of the color changing bulbs that we've seen are not very good. They're not very compatible. They don't work well with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but we've got a couple now that we're actually testing that are looking very promising. If those come into effect, what's cool is now at the holidays, and I wouldn't do it all year round, because these are still going to be more efficient. They're still going to run better. They're going to last longer than the color changing ones for sure. But in the holidays, what you could do is you could just go swap out this bulb for one of the color changing ones that are Bluetooth or Wi-Fi operated, change the colors to whatever you need to, and then you're all set. Whereas right now what we do is we'll typically just put like a color lens on there, whether it be a green one, a red one, something like that for the holidays. The only thing you got to remember whether it's Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or color lenses, when you add color, it makes it less bright. So you usually have to bump up the intensity somehow. So if we're putting a lens, we'll usually go just pop in again, just pop in a brighter bulb. Or if you're using a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi option, you just got to set the setting a little bit higher. But so many things you can do. The most versatile light on the market, FX Luminaire's RS LED uplight, now comes with a drop-in bulb, but you can go and swap that out for whatever you need. Favorite light by far, you can get it with our try it before you buy it light, so you can actually test it out, see how it's going to look, feel it. And if you, as always, if you guys have questions, email me, cal@lightingdoctor.ca, or go check out all our videos on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe so you get more of these reviews to find out what's going to be the best lights for your project.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys got some great do-it-yourself landscape lighting tips. Now, please be sure to go to our website at lightingdoctor.ca and check out our how-to page. It's full of great resources, from our podcast to our video to our most frequently asked questions. And also check out our try it before you buy it light, where you can actually go now and get one of our premium quality uplights and a King Innovation Instalight, which is basically a battery pack now that allows you to go and run those lights and test them out on your property. Try it for 14 days. If you don't love it, send it back to us and we'll give you a full refund. And if not, you keep the light at a discounted rate and go and buy what you need for your project. So thanks again for watching. Please be sure to leave us a comment. We'd love your feedback, and have a great day.